guessing you got your ceramic studio ready, so you have a nice space to work with a piece of fabric, and you have your small bowl of water, and a sponge, and a toothpick. And today I've been thinking a lot about our Native American galleries and all the wonderful things in there. There's a lot of beautiful pottery. I really like all of the vessels or containers from the Southwest, like the Hopi and other tribes artwork. And I've been drawn lately to a Cherokee vessel up in the Woodlands area by Maud Welch. She made this jar with snakes kind of coming in and out of it. And I love it because the form of the jar is pretty simple. And the snakes are just these textured coils kind of coming in and out. So with just a few details, she was able to show a snake climbing in and out of a jar. It wasn't very complicated, but it's beautiful. And I like that idea. I like animals a lot because I like nature, and I like functional art objects. So I've been thinking a lot about anamorphic vessels. Anamorphic is just a really fancy way to say animal shaped. And I've been thinking about some of the ways you can show an animal in the simplest way. Like my little cat cup here. You know it's a cat, right? And how do you know it's a cat? Does it have lots of fur or whiskers? Does it say meow? No way. You know it's a cat because it has pointy cat ears and a little pointy cat nose. I tried to add a tail, and I did something that's kind of foolish when I tried to add the tail. I was going to have it kind of sticking up. But believe it or not, when I had attached this tail, my cat came by and knocked the cat cup off the table, and the tail fell off. So we'll get to this later, probably in the next video, about adding things to your vessel and why it's a good idea to make short, strong things rather than tall, fragile things like the tail. But still, this cat doesn't even need a tail to look like a cat face. You know from the ears and the nose, just the simplest details, that it's a cat. And Maud Welch did something similar. She made a simple coil with a beautiful texture. And we look at it and we say, of course that's a snake. So while we're working today, I want you to think about animals you love and think about how you can show that animal in the simplest way. Long trunks and big ears on elephants, little cute triangle beaks on birds. There's a lot of ways to show an animal with just a few details. So that's what we're going to be thinking about. So the first thing you need to do is get your ball of clay. And like I said, I'm going to be using the high fire clay that I like to fire at my ceramic studio. But if you have salt dough or some other air dry clay, you can just follow along and do things similarly. The first thing you want to do is get your clay into a nice, smooth ball. I'm only going to use a little bit of clay because when we work small, it's easier. Our hands get less tired. We don't have to work quite as long. And if your hands are small, it makes it a little bit easier too. So I've got a piece of clay a little bit bigger than a golf ball. And the first thing I want to do is make it really smooth. You might have some little cracks, and all I have to do is kind of tap and pet those little lines and cracks to make my pot smooth. As we work on our clay, we're going to work pretty slow and let our clay kind of ease into the shape we want. We don't want to force it, because then the clay will get kind of stressed out, like anyone does when they're forced to work too fast or too hard. And it could crack or break. So we're going to make a nice, smooth ball. I'd say that's pretty smooth. Maybe smooth it here a little bit more. All right, clay, you ready to work? And before we start shaping our pot, and it's going to be a pinch pot. Our vessel's a little pinch pot. I want you to think about the general form you want your clay to end up. Do you want it to be kind of flat and shallow? Do you want it to be a little tall and narrow? Clay has memory. So if you were to start pushing and pulling it out to make a dish, and then you decided, no way, I want a tall skinny cup, your clay is going to remember that dish shape and keep wanting to fall back into a dish. So go ahead and make your ball kind of the shape you want. And I'm thinking I want to make kind of an animal head shape, so I want it to be fairly round, but I want it to have a kind of flat bottom too. So I'm going to make the bottom a little bit flat, make my ball nice and smooth. Now, the very first step, we're going to take our thumb, tool we all have, right? And we're going to stick it right down into the middle of our clay. It's important to try to get it in the middle of your clay because then your vessel will have even sides or walls. So just look down, start to go in the middle, push, 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 push. It might squish a little, but that's okay. Push your finger down. And you can kind of feel with your other finger when you get about 1/4 of an inch in the base. You can feel your finger, you haven't gone all the way through. You've got a nice flat bottom. You can pull your thumb out and see there's just a little hole and some really thick walls. So we're going to start working to thin those walls. And the way you do that, put your thumb back into your clay and you're going to squeeze with your fingers and rotate around. Squeeze and rotate, squeeze and rotate. Go slow, go easy. Try to keep those walls even and keep thinking about that shape. If you want to make something that's wide and flat, kind of pull your thumb out while you're working. If you want to make something tall and skinny, kind of pull your fingers up while you're working. I am just making my walls thinner. And you can see that the clay has to go somewhere. So when I squeeze, the walls get wider, the hole gets bigger, and I'm starting to make my vessel. You can notice that as I'm making my vessel, I start to get some little cracks too. That's because I might be working too fast. So rather than let those cracks get ahead of me, I'm going to take a break from pinching and squeezing and just run my finger over the cracks. I've seen people get really tempted to use their water and their sponge right away when they're trying to make their pinch pop to smooth out those cracks. But do you know what happens when you put too much water on clay? It becomes slip, which slip is a mixture of water and clay that we use like glue, and it looks kind of like mud, like a muddy puddle. So you can't really form something out of goobery, wet, muddy clay. You can see I start going the other way. Just nice and slow, smooth those cracks as you go. Keep working it. Sometimes I'll kind of start to make the shape inside with my thumb. Push it out and try to make it a little bit rounder. Keep going around evenly, evenly. What if your hand gets tired? You have to keep going. You can totally take a break. Relax, go slow, and just work together with the clay. Don't push yourself, don't push the clay. Just go slow, around and around and around, making your pot a little bigger, the walls a little thinner, thinking about that shape, that form. Is it wide? Is it tall? What do you want? Oh, I need to stop and smooth some cracks. It's pushing my clay too hard. Sorry, guy. I don't want to make you stressed out. Smooth those little cracks out. And you can see that I'm starting to get some shape in the bottom, getting some shape on the sides, getting that form the way I want it. And it could take a while. You might need to take a break. You might need to get a snack. Just do what you need to do to keep working that clay into the vessel you want. Now, do you think you're going to get your clay exactly even, like a perfect bowl, like the bowl you had your cereal from today, or this water dish? Probably not. This bowl was probably made in a mold so that they could all be the same in a factory. And I don't know about you, but I know I am not a robot or a machine. I'm human. So my vessel is going to be a nice, organic, kind of uneven shape. You can see my fingerprints. You can see the shape of my hand in the shape of my clay. Stressing my clay out again, wasn't I? And that's nice. It's nice to remember that this was made by me, by a person, and that yours is made by you, another person. It makes it feel warmer and more organic, and it's something people like. So don't worry if one side's a little lopsided. That just adds to the beauty of your clay vessel. So I'm getting kind of close on that, but I'd still have a little bit more shaping. Here's one I made a little bit earlier, and it's starting to get kind of hard. But you can see I can still kind of push and pull and shape it. I can stick my thumb into it to get the shape more of exactly what I'm going for, the form. And I can start to smooth some of these edges out. So it's going to take some time to get from this vessel to this vessel. It's just more smoothing and shaping, making sure that you smooth those cracks as they come. If your clay gets really dry, you can get just a fingertip of water and kind of rub it on there. But see, it already is slippery and muddy just from doing that. So I prefer just to smooth with my finger and go slowly. Keep working on that form. Something to keep in mind with clay if you're going to fire your piece. Clay shrinks when it fires. All that last bit of moisture sucks out and the clay gets smaller, about 20% smaller. So let's say you make something that's 5 inches tall. When you fire it, it'll be 4 inches tall. So not a lot of shrinkage, but some shrinkage. So go ahead and make things a little bit bigger. All of these vessels that I'm making today are pretty small, but I like small things because I have a lot of tiny plants that need tiny homes. So I'm always making little pots for them. So I could keep working on this, and you could probably keep working on yours at home. And when you get it to the shape you want, when it's the exact form you want to make your anamorphic or animal-shaped vessel, come on back and we'll have our third video. So keep working. I can't wait to see what you've made. See you soon. Thank you.